Oh boy, do I have some theories for you guys. Me and Chris have been digging into some of the old Firefly Funhouse videos and watching a lot of stuff, and we've come up with some pretty interesting theories for this episode of Tea Time with Abby. And I'm only going to scratch the surface because I really want to dig into this a little bit more on Abby's Window on Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Insiders Pro Wrestling. But let's scratch the surface, shall we? So one of the big questions that everybody has been trying to answer since Bray Wyatt returned and we first saw Uncle Howdy is, who is Uncle Howdy? Now, Uncle Howdy very clearly said on that episode of Funhouse News that I am all of us. But who is all of us? And I think maybe we figured it out a little bit. I could be totally wrong, but this is just kind of my take on it for you guys. I think Uncle Howdy is Bray. I think he is the one that's in control of everything. I think he is the puppet master. This is the overarching person in control of everything. And I think Uncle Howdy is an amalgam of all of these pieces of Bray's family that have contributed to who he is. And most of his family members have had some, just like Husky Harris, some quote unquote not so successful gimmicks. So we're going to dig into those a little bit, and maybe you can see how each one, even if they didn't have a failed gimmick, how each one kind of may contribute to Bray and who he is as a person and why they contribute to this Bray Uncle Howdy character. So let's start with his brother, Bo Dallas. This is the person that everybody has resigned themselves to thinking that his brother, his real life brother, Bo Dallas, is the one playing Uncle Howdy. And Uncle Howdy obviously at one point has had this diamond cross earring, as does Bo Dallas. So that might be a little piece of his brother that is contributing to being Uncle Howdy. And of course, we believe that his brother Bo Dallas is actually playing Uncle Howdy. And while I don't believe Bo Dallas to be a failed gimmick, he obviously did not have the same amount of success as his brother Bray Wyatt has had. So now let's talk about Bray's dad, the legendary IRS Mike Rotunda. Now, Mike Rotunda, IRS, was obviously a hugely successful character for his dad. But not many of you may know that IRS Mike Rotunda also had a gimmick that was not very successful called Captain Mike Rotunda. I think this is important to mention because obviously there's been a lot of references to Uncle Howdy being influenced by a character called Captain Howdy in the movie Hysterical. So I kind of like to, make that little connection there because I think it's interesting. And obviously Captain Mike Rotunda was, like I said, not very successful. But nonetheless, there may be a little bit of a comparison there between Captain Mike Rotunda and Husky Harris because they were not super successful. And obviously Mike Rotunda, being Bray's dad, is going to have a very large influence on how he has been shaped as a person. So now let's talk about Bray's uncle, Bray Windham. And Bray Windham in the WWE also had a gimmick that was not very successful and didn't go over well called the Stalker. And the Stalker, his debut match was against TL Hopper, and he won with a superplex. Obviously, there's been a lot of connections between Bray Windham and Uncle Howdy because, well, quite frankly, he looks a lot like him. So, huge connection there to Bray Windham, obviously. But he did have this unsuccessful gimmick called the Stalker. And obviously, Bray being named after his uncle, Bray Windham, Windham being Bray's real first name, there's a big influence there on how that has shaped Bray as a person. So moving on to Bray's other uncle, Barry's brother, Kendall Windham. He was briefly in WCW, and obviously being Bray's uncle is going to have an influence on his life as well. But Kendall did not have a very long run in wrestling. So there's that. That brings us to the patriarch of this royal wrestling family, Blackjack Mulligan. And there's been a lot of connections, obviously, with Barry Windham looking like Uncle Howdy. But Blackjack Mulligan does too. He's got the hat, the mustache, he wears a glove. And obviously being Bray's grandfather had a huge influence on who he is as well. So all of these family members and people inside this Windham family have obviously contributed to who Bray was as a person. That brings us back to Uncle Howdy kind of being that amalgam of all of these people in Bray's life, and obviously Bray being Uncle Howdy. It's all these people that have shaped him as a person, and some of these family members like him kind of had that gimmick that maybe they're not super proud of. So there's a lot of similarities there. But Uncle Howdy, like I said, is the secret keeper. And I said this on Twitter. Uncle Howdy is the secret. Uncle Howdy is the keeper of secrets. He knows everything. He knows everything that's going on. He knows the past, the present, the future. He knows it all. He is the puppet master. So when Bray said early on in the Firefly Funhouse, do you want to see my secret? I have a secret. And that secret was the Fiend. And now he said it again. If I told you a story, could you keep a secret? There was this big focus on secrets. And if you notice, Ramblin Rabbit, and we've talked about this at length before, Ramblin Rabbit a few times have tried to expose what the Funhouse really is. He wanted to expose the secrets and was then stopped. So Ramblin Rabbit knows what's going on too. So who, now that we've seen that secret again, who is this new secret? Is it this character that we saw at the Pitch Black match? That's highly possible. So to end the video, I'm going to leave you guys with a little piece of something to think about. Do you remember this episode of Funhouse News where Bray asked, who opened the door? I have a theory, and we're going to talk about it on Abby's on Monday, but I think the same person who opened the door is also the White Rabbit. If you go back and look at this particular episode of that little White Rabbit, notice what the letters the rabbit jumps to are. And I'm going to let you think about that. This is also the same person that was the first person to challenge the Fiend. So think about that. Until Monday on Abby's Window, we will dig into that a little bit more. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and we will see you on Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Insiders Pro Wrestling. You guys take it easy and have a wonderful day.